Hi everyone, Bego and Annie here. In the last episode of Women in Renewables, we are delighted to be speaking with some HR and recruitment professional in the industry.
So today we're going to be speaking to Jane and Sarah, who are going to give us some insight from a HR and recruitment perspective of what the future for women in the renewable energy industry looks like. Thanks.
My name's Sarah Stumke. I'm the HR manager at a company called Videa, and we're an energy services company. So we work with the top 500 energy users in Australia to help them take control of their energy consumption and energy costs.
Hi there, my name is Jane Lowney and I am the Head of Engineering and Infrastructure for Robert Walters in Australia. Robert Walters is a global recruitment firm. I started my career with them as a graduate in Ireland in 2010 and subsequently relocated to Australia in 2012. So I actually qualified as a civil engineer through a recession in Ireland, and I worked in the civil infrastructure and energy markets before moving into recruitment, and for the last 9 years now I've recruited across energy, civil engineering projects, as well as the built environment.
So as a bit of background, my experience hasn't necessarily been in the engineering industry as such, but now I currently work in the renewable industry. And the reason I give you that background is because of the companies I've worked in. They're not necessarily in the sector, but we've definitely worked with engineers and engineering roles. So I think generally my observations would be that females are now getting more access to the industry, but not always necessarily into engineering type roles.
I've been very fortunate to work across both the European and Australian markets. If I talk about, I suppose, the changes that we saw in Ireland 2010 to 2012 to now, there was a very strong focus on the development of wind energy in particular. As most of you will be aware, solar probably wouldn't work in Ireland. And then obviously transitioning out to Australia, and we've seen that movement towards more renewable and sustainable energy solutions. I think what I've seen in the last 10 years from a participation perspective is that really in Australia, the participation of females in STEM has flatlined, if not gone backwards. The total workforce in STEM that's female at the moment is 16%, which is not a great number to be working with. So I think there's lots to be done to attract talented young women to the industry. But more broadly, I think in general, the technical disciplines across science, tech, engineering are suffering from a lack of attraction, whether male or female. So that is going to be one of the challenges moving into the future as we use more technology, more emerging energy solutions. We're going to need really, really bright, strong minds to lead that. And that's probably my biggest worry for the next 10 years.
Again, a little bit of context. We have only been operating as a business for 3 years and have only had the HR role for 1 year. But some things we are doing, we now have a recruitment policy, which is great. And as part of that, we encourage our hiring managers to check the gender split within the particular labour market that they're searching in and present a shortlist that is reflective of that. So say we know a labour market might be 50-50 gender split, we'd expect to see a shortlist that reflects that. So that's one thing we have in place, and that's just something that we aim for and encourage. It's not a hard quota or anything that we have in place. Other things we have is we now have a gender neutral paid parental leave scheme. We have a flexible working guideline, and we've also committed to doing a gender review this year.
So I suppose firstly from a Robert Walters perspective, we have a pretty good attraction rate for both female and male candidates. We have a very strong graduate programme. I joined that myself in Ireland. I was lucky that my managing director in Ireland was female, my boss in Brisbane is female, so I've had those influences and they have been visible in the business to me. So I suppose if you're talking more directly into the energy market, there is a challenge in getting more females in there, but certainly a lot of the major players, whether it's the energy operators or the constructors or designers, they have got dedicated programs, not just entry-level graduates, but also mentoring programs, emerging leader programs, and there's a lot of investment to try and ensure that we are developing the top talent through the pipeline. So that's really encouraging and exciting to see, but obviously reflecting on what I said earlier, with a limited pool of 16% of people being available, it does create a lot of competition in the market, and it does create a lot of, I suppose, challenges in trying to achieve individual targets on an organisational level.
So my advice would be to really self-reflect and understand what the key things are you're looking for. So maybe like the top 2 or 3 things you're looking for in your next opportunity that are kind of non-negotiable for you. And then once you have an understanding of those, make sure you're looking in the right spots for those kinds of things. So say you're looking for certain experiences, maybe you don't necessarily have to look in the engineering sector as such. You might be able to look for outside of that sector for a company that has engineering roles. Another thing is you might consider the size of the organisation that you're looking to work in. So say one of your non-negotiables might be access to a leadership team or something like that. You might look for a role in a smaller company where you can get that access day to day.
So look, I think if it is of interest, definitely go do it. I think if you're even thinking about it, reach out to people that are already in the sector, talk to people, find out about it. Engineering is such a broad topic, and I think I probably had a very narrow view of it when I was graduating. Know that the avenues by which you can take your career are very varied. Linear careers in that you start as a graduate and you move up in a linear manner are probably disappearing. People will have a lot more broad, different types of skills that they'll bring to the market. They'll have different career experiences, and engineering and technology is going to be the basis of a lot of what we do in the future. So I think it's a sensible career choice. I think if you've got a level of interest in how things work or how things are built, I look at some of the infrastructure around Australia, and yeah, we're doing mega projects now, but the ones that really blow my mind are the bridges that were built in the 1900s. How do they do that? You can go back further in time and think about some of the engineering feats around the world. I find that really interesting. It makes a big difference to the community. You're giving back to society. You're creating opportunities, whether it's powering homes, powering communities in regional locations, creating jobs and opportunities. Infrastructure connects people. There's a huge narrative around it that's a really exciting career choice. But I would just say, if you're even thinking about it, jump on LinkedIn and find somebody who did the degree you're thinking about and message them. They'll probably come back to you. Find out through the university can connect you with previous students. There's lots of different ways to find out about it. But I think, be brave, give it a go. You won't regret it.